I wanted to make a quick video about one of my pet peeves, which is anytime someone says, hey, it doesn't matter if we do an alignment because it can only be aligned for one point in the audience, it'll be misaligned everywhere else, therefore it doesn't matter. Or another version of this is when people say, hey, you can't ever just align to one position because why does it matter if that one person has the best alignment? And I thought this way for a long time too, until I learned that these relationships are not at random, right? But I get it because I think it's due to the complexity of audio. There's a tendency to say, if I don't understand it, then it probably doesn't matter. But as I mentioned, these things are not at random, right? Phase differences over location are entirely predictable. If that weren't true, then DMB ArrayCalc would not work. SoundVision would not work. Map3D would not work. These prediction and modeling environments rely on known relationships between magnitude and phase over space to be able to make these predictions. And we have come to rely on these. We've come to trust on these predictions. So why is it that we trust these predictions and yet when we think about alignment, we say, well, it doesn't really matter or it's impossible to predict. And no matter what method you choose, the solution will always be the same. So you could just poke around and try a bunch of different things, just trial and error, and you would find a solution. And you could do the same thing in the field with a microphone and you would find a solution. Or you could calculate it ahead of time and you will come up with the same solution. So let me show you what I mean here. So I feel like ArrayCalc is a fun way to play with this and look at this because we have this little alignment position window down here and we can click and we can try different alignment positions and we can immediately get feedback on the main sub phase relationship here. So for example, I might say, hey, I'm going to align at the back of the room and I just click around on these buttons until I find what looks like a good alignment to me. And then I say, okay, let me check the rest of the audience because not just this one spot should work well, right? My goal is to spread the errors equally throughout the audience. So let me look here, this looks okay. Let me look here, that still looks okay. Let me now go to the front of the audience. It's starting to fall apart a little bit. And now by the time I get to the front, I'm pretty far out here. So I've started to move away from summation. So then I might think, okay, well, let me try the center of the audience. Maybe that's the way to do it. So then I put it in the center position and I find my alignment again here and then I say, okay, let me check some more positions. This looks good, that's all fine. And then I get down here and well, that's a little bit too far again. I could continue this trial and error, but there's a way to predict this, right? And we have a really nice calculator called the Subalign Calculator that you can download for free. And all I need to do is put in some information here about the position of my loudspeakers and the audience, and it will help me come up with an alignment position. So let's do this together. So what is my alignment frequency? Well, it's typically the top of the crossover region, right? That is the most conservative estimate. And how did I choose this? Well, I did an alignment in Subaligner. So I just opened this alignment up in Subaligner and I took a look at the plot. And this will quickly tell me what the top of that crossover region is here. It's anywhere where we have, I can zoom in here. It's anywhere where we have this black dotted line and this pink dotted line, right? So this indicates for us the beginning and the end of the crossover region. So I see that that's about 136 Hertz. So I said, great, I put in 136 Hertz. Maybe I start with 0 degrees offset here. And this says, okay, if I align at the back of the audience here, then I should expect to see about 90 degrees of phase offset at the front of the audience. And that's what we started with, right? So if I align at the back of the audience here, then by the time I get to the front of the audience, I should expect to see 90 degrees of phase offset. So is that true? Well, each of these little divisions here is 30 degrees. So this is 30, 60, and 90. Okay, so now I'm starting to see that yes, these relationships are predictable. So if we can predict these relationships, then we should be able to find a position here that would spread out the errors. So I might take this number 90, divide it by 2, and then put that in as my max phase offset at the back of the audience. So now I have about 45 degrees of phase offset at the rear, about 45 degrees of phase offset at the front, and I've spread out my errors. And now the Subalign Calculator says, hey, if you put your alignment position, your alignment microphone at 4.75 meters right here, then you will spread this out. And I say, great, let's try that. So I can't put in 4.75 meters into ArrayCalc. It has some predefined numbers here, but I can get close, right? So I'll put in 5.6. Let's try that. And now I'll do my alignment. I could do this in Subalign, but I'll just do it here. Just click through some numbers. I say, great, this looks aligned here. And now we'll move around. Let's go to the front of the audience. And we should see about 45 degrees of phase offset. It looks like we do because we've got 30 here, 60 here, so a little bit more than 45. And then we go to the back of the audience and same thing. Now we have about 30 degrees of phase offset. We have successfully balanced out the errors by choosing a reasonable alignment position that will work for most of the audience. So I think the message I want to leave you with is that whether or not you choose an alignment position, it'll be aligned somewhere. You just won't know where it is. So if possible, better to use a reliable method to choose a reasonable alignment position that will help us spread those errors out. So I hope this has been helpful for you. I'd love to know what you think about this. All right, thanks.